The climate is changing.
Hi and Assalamualaikum to our panels. We are from Bachelor of Environmental Administrations and today's presentation is about a study on climate change awareness among FSPPP students at UiTM Seremban 3. But first of all, let me introduce myself. So my name is Nurliyana binti Ahmad.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good day. My name is Nofaraini binti Mamami. So first, I will start with the background of the study. Rapid urbanization and development have compromised the quality of the environment all around the world, including Malaysia, such as climate change, biodiversity issues, and many more. Human activities can be seen as one of the leading factors of climate change, which will give effect towards the global warming at such an alarming rate. This research is purposely focused more on climate change awareness among FSPPP students UiTM Seremban 3, specifically among the bachelor's degree students, to see the relationship between attitude, knowledge and social environment with the level of awareness among them regarding climate change issues.
Next, we go to the problem statement. Generally, climate change issues have focused on the main factors of climate change and problem on mitigation to the neglect of adaptation. Climate change consequences not only happen in Malaysia, but also to the other countries across the globe. An international study shows that more than a third of people in the world have never aware of climate change, especially for certain nations such as South Africa, Nigeria, Bangladesh, as well as Malaysia. The lack of awareness can bring to the several impacts such as slowly the response of the society to the problem caused by the climate change. For instance, increase in sea level could negatively impact coastal area and people are not ready to face the issue that threaten food security and health problem. Education is an essential element of the global response to climate change. It helps people to understand and adapt to climate change related trends. Secondly, lack of participation from community to the programs implemented by the government. Lack of engagement from community means that the budget allocated for this program will go to complete waste. This is because public awareness enable informed decision making, play an essential role in increasing mitigation capacity of communities and encourage to adopt sustainable lifestyles. Lastly, student supporting sector that contribute to the climate change due to low level of awareness. Previous study illustrates that most students are more encouraged to join employment programs in the context of unsustainable industries such as fast food, automotive, and ecologically destructive tourism that contribute to climate change. The lack of understanding causes young people to join these sectors when the rest of the country is seeking to prevent. Next, these are research questions and research objectives in this study. For the research objective, the first one is to identify the association between student knowledge and climate change awareness. Secondly is to analyze the attitude and behavior of students toward climate change awareness. And thirdly is to examine the influence of social environment of students toward climate change awareness. Meanwhile, for the research questions is the reflections for the research objective as I mentioned earlier. Now, we move to the conceptual framework. So these are independent and dependent variable proposed in the study. As for dependent variable is student awareness on climate change. According to Gaffur, environmental awareness is the conditions or ability to perceive, experience or be conscious of things or patterns of essentially nature. On the other hand, for independent variable are also considered as the factors that can influence the awareness of students of climate change. The first one is knowledge. In the previous study by Whitley, 2018, primary evidence showed that the attentions of public on environmental issue is formed by their knowledge and understandings towards the importance to protect environment. It is also stated knowledge is the main factors to increase student awareness in mitigation's effort to fight with the negative consequences of climate change. Therefore, the first hypothesis established that there is a significant relationship between knowledge and student awareness. Secondly, attitude. According to Zawadi, Yastan Pana and Pashi in 2020, there is a correlation between attitude and awareness. For example, the result from the findings stated that the correlation value is 0.66 and the significant value is 0.001 that reveal the environmental awareness has a major positive effect on respondents' attitude to assess the potential risks of climate change. Thus, the second hypothesis established in this study that there is a significant relationship between attitude and student awareness. Lastly, social environment. The study conducted by Alina in 2020 found that learning typically relies on previous experience and social surroundings that increase in awareness of an individual to the environment. it is also stated that conversation related to climate change situations between students and other social agents at home or in their free times activity will affect their perceptions and awareness. Therefore, the third hypothesis established that there is a significant relationship between social environment and student awareness. Meanwhile, these are the hypotheses that have been mentioned before as to investigate the relationship between knowledge, attitude, and social environments towards student awareness on climate change. Overall, we have 6 hypotheses, which is 2 hypotheses for each variable.
So I will explain about the research methodology. So the first one is research design. So we use quantitative method in this study. So the second one is unit of analysis. We chose bachelor's degree students of FSPPP UiTM Seremban 3. So third is sample size. We use Craigie and Morgan table. So we only chose 310 respondents. So the fourth one is sampling technique. We use probability cluster sampling technique. And the fifth one is data measurement, which is we choose nominal scale and Likert scale. Sixth is data collection. We have 5 section, which is section A is profile of the respondents, section B awareness on climate change, section C attitude, section D is knowledge, and the last one is section E social environment, and lastly is data analysis. We use descriptive statistic and Pearson correlation.
These are demographic profile from our finding in the study. Based on the table, it shows that female respondents are more than male respondents by 60% of 186 female students. Other than that, majority of respondents involved in this study is aged around 21 to 23 years old, which recorded 66.1% who represent 205 students, and the least of respondents came from the age of 24 years old and above. Furthermore, it can be shown that most of the students are from AM 2 to 8, which indicates 33.9% from the total respondent, and the least of 32.6% are from AM 2 to 6. Lastly, it shows that 55.8% of respondents is a final year student, who represent 170 students, while another 45.2% of the respondents are non-final year students, who represent 140 students. Next is hypothesis testing. We use Pearson correlations to analyze the data. From this table, it indicates the correlations between all independent variables to student awareness on climate change, based on the correlation and significant values obtained in the study. For instance, the correlation value for knowledge is 0.766 and the significant value is 0.000, which indicates there is a strong relationship between knowledge and student awareness. The analysis also applied to other independent variables that show the similar result of positive relationship towards student awareness on climate change.
So next, I will explain about the recommendation. So the first recommendation is climate change awareness and education around the campus. In order to increase the awareness among the FSPPP students, the university or the faculty itself can try to run campaigns around the campus related with environmental issues, especially climate change. Other than that, the students also can try to initiate their own programs such as environmental talk, where they can invite any non-governmental organization such as Climate Action Malaysia or Worldwide Fund for Nature to give thoughts regarding climate change, or they can also invite Department of Environmental as well. For instance, since FSPPP have a new course which is Bachelor of Environmental Administration, where this course focuses more on the administration of the environment, they can collaborate with any responsible body to run a campaign regarding climate change around the campus, which is not only be beneficial for FSPPP students but also for the whole UiTM Seremban 3 community. The second recommendation is environmental programs by government and non-governmental organization. Government body like Department of Environment or any related non-governmental organization can organize any programs that are related with environment protection, such as replanting plants program, beach cleaning event, and many more. Through this kind of programs, they can invite university students, which also will help in increasing their awareness regarding climate change issues. Meanwhile, during the programs, they can also give information regarding climate change and any other environmental issues. For instance, Department of Environment is responsible to spread the awareness about environment, such as climate change issues. So, they decided to initiate a program called National Environment Day, which will be celebrated yearly, and they will invite university students, non-governmental organizations, and the community to participate in the event as well. This event will educate and improve the students' awareness regarding the importance of sustaining and conserving the environment, which will give a direct impact towards the climate change. Other than that, it will also help in increasing the climate change awareness and other environmental issues among the society as well. Last but not least is persuasive communication for climate change information. Persuasive communication can be interpreted as an effort to manipulate the views and actions of another. Hence, in order to increase the awareness regarding climate change, especially among the students, the responsible government bodies such as Department of Environment or any NGOs can spread the information regarding climate change through their social medias, beside from their website. For example, World Wide Fund for Nature Malaysia are using their Instagram actively to promote about environmental issues, including climate change. Other than that, to increase the awareness regarding climate change, it should start at such a young age, which usually in young age, the students will be able to get influenced better, and it is easier to change their mindset if we teach them in the right way. Thus, Minister of Education can consider inputting the environmental issues such as climate change as an example or topic in the syllabus for them to have better understanding about how crucial the climate change in the future. For instance, the Japan government introduced a formal environmental education in the syllabus to educate the students about the environmental issues. Next, I will talk about the research limitation and future recommendation. So the first research limitation is quantitative study. So in this study, we are using a quantitative method, which it has its own limitation where the data reliability is really depending on the quality of the answers and the structure of the survey. Other than that, the structure of the survey and questionnaire is very rigid and it cannot capture the respondents' emotions and behavior very clearly, although it is very time saving, easy to collect, respond, and can reach higher audience. So the next limitation is method of data collection. Okay, so due to the COVID-19 pandemic outbreak, all of the students are required to go home, and we have started to do online distance learning or ODL instead of attending the physical classes to break the chain of infection. Hence, the survey has to be conducted online through Google Forms platform. However, it is very hard to find the respondents to answer the questionnaire, even though the questionnaire has been published through online platforms such as WhatsApp, because the students tend to ignore or forgot to answer the questionnaire, compared by distributing the questionnaire by hand, whereas the students will answer the questionnaire on the spot. And thus, the future recommendation is to collect data from various platforms that enable to reach respondents more effectively. So, the third limitation is lack of understanding. So, because the questionnaire has been distributed online, the respondents are unable to ask the researchers about the questions more in depth, which lead them to just pick any answers they feel like they want to choose. Compared by distributing the survey by hand, the respondents are able to ask the researchers face to face and instantly will get the answer from the researchers. Besides, some of the terms used in the questionnaire can be considered as jargons to the other courses like M225 and M228, since M226 are already familiar with the terms and environmental issues, and sometimes the respondents refuse to ask the researchers if they did not understand any of the question, which will affect the quality of the data. Therefore, we suggest that the future study can collect the sample through other data collection method, such as face-to-face interview, that will be able to follow up with the ideas and facial expressions are more clearly identified and understood. So, last but not least is lack of variable. There are only 3 independent variables that researchers are studying and focusing on. That is to say that the researchers only focus on the certain factor that has been stated in the literature review. By virtue, the researchers found it is easier to narrow down the independent variable. However, due to this study only have 3 independent variables, it has limited the researchers to study more about the other available factors. As for the recommendation, it is recommended that to have more independent variables for future studies to be able to identify any other factors that influence the students' awareness on climate change. In conclusion, the objective of this study is to identify whether knowledge, attitude, and social environment influence the awareness of the climate change among FSPPP students in UiTM Seremban 3. The variables in this study is based on theory of planned behavior, which shown positive relationship of all independent variables towards climate change awareness. From the result, adequate knowledge is the most important factor to help the student in increasing the awareness on climate change compared to the other two variables, which is attitude and social environment. Other than that, the findings is also being supported with a lot of studies as mentioned in the report, and more importantly, the students also indicated that the information on the level of awareness among FSPPP students to reflect the individual personality towards the efforts to reduce climate change impact. However, a depth study is needed in the future due to several limitations on the study as mentioned before this. Thus, the perspective and behavioral improvement mentioned would support further possible conduct in reduce the effect of climate change and pursue a better knowledge as a means to encourage the awareness as a of the society as a whole. Thank you. That's all from us.